I can't breathe. Got your knee in my neck. Can I get some respect? I can't catch my breath. Please help me. I am begging you now. Got my face in the ground. Heaven, hear me now. 'Cause my life matters. Hatred shatters everything that love has built. And I believe things will change for the better soon. And I believe in the dream of Dr. King, in the strength of Malcolm X. Don't know who's next. I can't see how the world can turn its back because my skin is black. Facts. 'Cause my life matters and hatred shatters everything that love has been. And I believe things will change for the better soon. Today we will fight, stand for what is right. And I played with them way back from Emmett Till. How you mad at him for taking the knee? He didn't hurt nobody. Can you put that dog on the leash? Instead of lying about me, all we want is equality. George, rest in peace. We want peace. And I believe things will get better. I believe things will get better, yeah.
Yes, I believe things will get better.
Oh,
I believe things will get better.
I believe, yeah. My brother, my sisters, oh, it will get better. Get better, get better.
Hello, everybody. It's Angie B. Welcome back. It is season 2. Happy New Year. If I have not seen you just yet, I am just so excited about season 2 of the creative process. I'm back. Yeah, I've been gone for a second, but had to fall back and get those creative juices flowing again. So now back and better than ever. And I have an amazing season planned out for you all. Again, I'm Angie B. I call myself Angie Be Creative, and I am a singer. I am the creator and host of the Creative Process, which is my beautiful show right here. And then also, I'm a media director, a videographer, and video editor, and so much more. So I'm excited for you to tune into today's episode. My goodness, my guest, oh my God, he's just an amazing person. He's funny, creative, talented, anointed, everything you could possibly say about him, he is. His name is George Potts Young. He is a road manager. Well, he's been a road manager. He's a producer, an author and director, a background vocalist, and that's not all of his accolades. That's just a few of them. So I'm just so excited to bring him on. Let's hear his bio. George Potts Young, affectionately known by many as Georgie Porgy, is like a big pot of gumbo. He's a vocal and instrumental music contractor, background singer, author, and producer. George has such a unique background and story. Born and raised in Oklahoma City, he began singing, directing choirs, and learning different instruments, which was his start in the arts as a child. By accident, or so he thought, he found a full-time career in music in college. He was asked to fill in for a singer, which led to a series of opportunities that changed the trajectory of his life forever. He has been an associate producer for Essence Music Festival for 11 years, worked with the likes of Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Will Ferrell, Seth Rogen, Tori Kelly, Fantasia, Aretha Franklin, Camila Cabello, Chrissy Metz, Kanye West, New Kids on the Block, and gospel greats such as Kirk Franklin, Mary, Kim Burrell, and Yolanda Adams, to name a few. In 2017, he wrote his first children's book titled Two Sides to Every Christmas Story. He also has written a 31-day devotional to feed the mind, body, and soul. In 2018, he was a cast member of the OWN Network's Chad Loves Michelle, featuring Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child. Most recently, he has continued to work with Beyonce on Coachella, the Lion King movie soundtrack, and performed with her at Kobe Bryant's funeral. He lended his likeness and songwriting to numerous movies and TV shows, such as Memphis Beat, This Is the End, The Campaign, When the Game Stands Tall, and more. Let's hear it up for George. Hey, George.
Angie, my girl, I'm so happy to be here with you.
Oh my God.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
I feel like I should pay you for saying those nice things about me. Like,
no, like, it's real. Like,
wow.
It's not a lie. It's real.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's always good to hear people say good stuff about you, especially when they don't have to. So, I feel like I'm doing something right. You know what I'm saying?
You are. I'm just so honored and excited to have you on. So let's get into this.
Come on.
I'm about to initiate you into my creative gang. Welcome.
I'm in there. Just show me all the gang signs so I can throw them up the right way.
Got 'em? I'm going to do it one more time.
Right.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so my first question, and this initiates you into the game.
Uh-oh.
How do you define creativity?
How do I define creativity? If I had to put it simply put, I would say creativity is the first gift that ever existed.
Wow.
And people always ask me, When I tell them that, they're like, well, what do you mean? I say, well, Genesis 1:1. People underestimate that verse. It says, in the beginning, God created.
Yeah,
It was the first thing that has ever happened.
that's good.
Everything we see came from the gift of creativity. So for me, creativity is literally, I tell people all the time, when you're in the mode of creating, that's when you're most like God. That's why most people, when they're creating, they feel so good because they're more like the person who created them.
Yes. That is beautiful, George. And I totally agree with you. Like, God is the ultimate creator. He created us and He's given us
Yeah.
the ability to create.
Oh, yes. Everybody has the ability to create something, whether it's creating your children, birthing children, or create. Literally, we were made in His image. We all have the ability to create something. Literally, everyone.
I love it. Welcome to the gang. And that was such a perfect answer.
Hey.
I love it. All right. So let's move on because we have a lot to cover. You're just so multifaceted. So you've been in the industry for a while and you've fulfilled many different roles. Again, you are so multifaceted.
Wow.
Now let's talk about a few. Let's touch on, well, again, you've been a BGV, a role manager, a producer, an author, a director. How did you venture into being a BGV? I mean, you've had some amazing gigs. You've done the Grammys.
Yes.
You worked with Kirk Franklin,
Yes.
Mariah Carey, Beyonce, to name a few. How did you venture into that?
So, I tell people all the time that I accidentally stumbled into background work. I literally, to be honest, I grew up in church and I always sang, but it was never anything that I ever desired to do for a living or even thought that it was a possibility. Where I grew up, that wasn't, I didn't know singers and people that did it and made money for that, so I knew I was going to graduate from high school, go to college, get me a good job. And that was what I thought life would be. Well, I went to college in New Orleans at Dillard University. DU. And my church that I was a member of, Greater St. Stephen, before I was a minister of music there, I was a choir director. And artists would always come, big artists, big gospel artists would come. And so one time somebody came and they asked would I sing background for them. They heard me sing at the church. And and it was Dorinda Clark Cole. That was literally my very first background singing gig. And when I did that, still not knowing that this was going to be something that my life would literally be in a few years, and I think I was 19 or 20 when that happened. And from there, it's just been like, but even after I did that, I still did so many church things in New Orleans that I didn't consider myself a background vocalist. It wasn't until I came to California and then one call turned into another, to another, to another. And then one day I looked up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a background singer now, so that's how it started.
I love it. And then I love how we have that connection to our greater roots.
Right.
That platform, even at greater, just being connected, it cultivates greatness for you. So
right.
That's so dope. Like, I remember hearing about you in the city, and it's funny, you actually came to one of our churches to train us back then.
Really?
Yes.
What church was that?
It was Household of Faith.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You did like workshop.
A conference. Yes, I remember that. Wow.
That's crazy. I love it. So
that is so crazy.
I know, right? All right. So you've been a road manager as well.
I have.
I stumbled into being a road manager. I remember Reggie, Alvin, and Brandon pulled me in to be a road manager with them. Such a crazy experience.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
How did you stumble into that role?
Once again, by accident. But let me tell you, everything that I do literally has been on my end seemingly accidental.
Wow.
And the Lord told me to stop saying that because it would always seem like either I was getting a position because somebody else moved out the way and they just needed somebody real quick. And it's like, let's go, like those kind of things. And so I would underestimate, like, well, I'm only doing it because such and such couldn't do it. God's like, no, that's what it looked like. But I already had this moment designed, planned out for you. So the way I got in road managing, I was singing background. Of course, I sang background for Mary Mary and all that kind of stuff. Well, Tina Campbell, she was working on her solo project. And so she called me and she would do little events and she would ask me to, hey, will you come and help me? Come on set and do this for me. Come on. And after a minute, she's like, will you just go on the road with me, please? Will you just be my road manager? And I did that. And I mean, I literally traveled the entire United States with her, and even for a tour and all of that kind of stuff. And keep in mind, I had never been a road manager before.
Right.
So I literally had to learn on the spot what to do in advance contracts and this and that. And because it was almost like for a long time a one-person team with me, I literally learned so much and had to figure it out. But when you're called, I cannot stress this enough. When God calls you to do something, He will equip you for things that you never even knew you were able to do. He will remind you of things and lessons that you learned that you don't even remember learning.
Yes.
Like, how do I know this? How do I have this skill? How do
Yes.
So I really obviously was called to do it, and God prepared me for it and equipped me for it. But I didn't know, And a lot of times He probably doesn't fill us in all the way because we would mess up so much of the plan if we knew what was coming ahead. And around and Lord, I don't want to, But it has been a humongous blessing for me, to have those skills and to learn and to be able to do road managing for other artists. And I got a chance about a month and a half ago to road manage Mary Mary, because I never road managed Mary Mary. I always just did Tina Campbell as a solo artist, So that's how that happened. Literally stumbled into it, and it worked out, and it turned into a long lasting job. And to be honest, for a good 2.5 years, that was like my primary source of income, being a road manager, up until I started with Beyonce singing background, and then that's when I transitioned back into the background singing thing. But yeah.
Wow. When it's purposed for you, it's purposed for you. That is so good, George.
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez. I love this. I love it. I love it. So, okay. So, again, multifaceted George, you are. I've seen you in action. Like, we both worked behind the scenes and
right.
That Essence. And I've seen you in action, doing your boss thing, running.
Was I being nice though?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
That's just you.
Just want to make sure.
Of course.
Some people might say, "Nah, just playing." I try to be nice. I do try.
I know, but like when I get it, like when you're in that boss role and it's production, sometimes it gets a little intense.
Yeah, and hectic, and that's why it's so important. I think teams are so extremely important. I tell people all the time. A lot of times, people will ask me, like, "How do you pick who you're working with, or how do you decide?" I said, "Well, this is the thing. When you work in high intensity areas and industries, and it's so important that people understand you and that they know you, so they'll know if you respond in a certain way that what I'm saying, that it's not yes." So that's important to me. Yeah, but I try to be nice.
How you are.
Yeah, I always want to be encouraging to people. I never want to be somebody who turns people off from the industry or turns people off from certain positions or jobs. I want them to always be able to, I try to be a light in everything that I do. So even in a high intensity area, I try to keep my cool and still operate in a way of integrity where people can still glean from it and learn. And, although it may be fast and hectic and all of that, still have some type of enjoyable or pleasurable interaction with me.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
So, of course, I've seen you in passing and working. Me, I'm doing artist relations, or one year I actually took the time to not work and sing with Jessica Harvey and the different.
Oh yeah, y'all did a great job. Yeah.
But come on, tell the people about your role at Essence and what it entails.
Okay, so since 2009, which is so crazy, and that story, even in itself, once again, not expecting certain things to happen. 2009, I got a phone call, and it was the Essence Fest production company, and they were saying that they were starting a new program on Sundays where they were going to bring in gospel artists and preachers to honor them, and they wanted me to be over the house band and to produce the music for it. And I said, I don't know how to do that. And the lady that called me, who's still my boss today, Gina Charbonnet, who I love, she's like, "You can do it. I've seen you years before. You bring your choir." I'm like, "But that's just one choir. I don't know these celebrities and I have to put them together. And when I call them, what do I say?" And so she believed in me. And for whatever, I still to this day don't know why she believed in me because she didn't really know me that well. I don't know if somebody told her and just really bugged me. I really don't know. But you look at that, and then 12 years later, I'm still doing it and have come up the ranks and learn more, and now associate producer title and all of those kind of things. And so that's how it started. It started out as me literally pulling music together. The artists would send their music, and that was it. They send me their music. What do they want to sing? They send it to me. I get the band, get the singers, boom. Now it's turned into, okay, what artists are performing? What do you think about these artists? Okay, cool. Let's sit down. Let's discuss this. They trust my input on that. Then I tell the artist, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is the plan I have for you. These are the songs that I want you to do. Let's do this. Let me rearrange this music this way. Let's do this. Let's implement this song right here. We'll bring dancers out. So I literally started being able to put the programs together and to produce. So it's been so amazing how God has allowed me to start here and come up, and still growing and still learning and still, because there are a lot of points of essence, especially my stage, that a lot of people don't see. Because our stage is in a room that something is always happening, we literally have 10 to 15 minutes with each artist. That's it, to rehearse with them. Yeah. So by the time they go on stage to perform, we've literally only spent 10 to 15 minutes with them. So there's some artists who may come a little unprepared. They have to worry. There's some artists who literally that's the dynamic of it. And it's been that from the very beginning. So I've had to learn. It's one thing I will say about my life. God has forced me to learn how to work like this. It's never been the same, the ideal working environment. It's always been interesting dynamics that have caused me to really perfect certain things of being a leader, being an example, being a boss, being the one to compromise, the one to sacrifice. I've literally had to learn so many lessons, but they've all been such great lessons that have set me up to be to become the best version of myself, to become the best producer I can be, to be the best leader I can be, to be the best director I can be. Literally those type things that most people would think are uncomfortable or inconvenient have really honed the best skills in me. So it's been a blessing. Essence probably has been the biggest, the most important thing in my life as it relates to who I am today. There are a lot of things that have made me who I am as far as church and growing up and my writing and my plays. And Essence, though, has been the thing that has established me the most in the industry. So even when I came to LA, there were a lot of relationships I've had already due to Essence. I had already sang with Mary Married. I had already worked with them. So I knew them because of Essence. So many people that I'm connected to now started with the Essence connection. So it's been a blessing.
That is amazing. And I remember just first of all, I wasn't expecting all this, that you're really speaking into me and encouraging me.
Oh, wow.
Seriously, a lot of times I'm put into roles where I'm like, God, why do you have me in this role?
But you're so amazing in the sense of, I think you're a lot like me in the sense of you're able to step in and do a lot of different things. And because of your heart, because of how you serve, and you're not trying to get the shine, even if you're excited about something, excited to meet somebody, whatever, you still have a heart and passion for what you do. So you're doing it from a very sincere and genuine place, and people see that and people feel that. So an artist or a celebrity or an executive, when they meet people like you, that makes them comfortable because they're like, oh, thank you, Jesus, somebody that's not trying to, take from me, not trying to just get clout, but you literally do the job. And if you're getting paid $5,000 or $500, if you're getting paid $500 or $50, if you accept the position, they know that Angie B is going to do the job like it's supposed to be done. You don't treat one different than the other. And that's what people love about you. That's what I love about you, so you're amazing. And so God is going to put you in those type of places because he's preparing you for what's to come, And we've talked, of course, and let me just say this is my sister. So offline, we've talked about spiritual things and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm not just saying this. I really feel these things about it.
Thank you. And I remember you really spoke life into me at Essence. It's I was like, oh, is he a prophet? Because I know you just started speaking and saying that God is preparing you the is yet to come. So I really appreciate you just speaking that into me. That means a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean that, man. I'm excited to see what the Lord is going to do in you, through you, on you, all of that good stuff.
Thank you, George. I love you.
I love you more.
So I have another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like working for and with Beyonce? And I was about to say, how did that happen for you? But God obviously purposed it for you.
So it's interesting. I tell people all the time, Beyonce is probably one of the best people I've ever worked for because of her team and how they move, the level of excellence. I mean, not just from behind the scenes, but production to payroll to musically to literally everything is so amazing the way things move around there. I'll tell you how it started. Well, I'll give a brief thing of how it started. So when Beyonce was getting ready for Coachella, let's see, some of this I can say. So I'll say the part that I can say. When Beyonce was getting ready for Coachella, there were people auditioning. And so because one of my best friends is in Destiny's Child, then she said, hey, I need to connect you. And so got connected that way and then went in and so that's how it started. But it was literally the most amazing process because I got a chance to work alongside so many great singers and dancers. It was like 100 of us, I think, by the end. It didn't start with that many, but as the show progressed and they started adding, it was an amazing process, learning things about production. And because of my background, a lot of the singers and stuff, they want to be singers. So they worried about the singing stuff. The dancers, they want to be. But me, because although I was there to sing, I'm in production and stuff. So I was paying attention to this and this. And so it was like a candy factory for me to see how things were working. And oh my God, ideas that I've even been able to give to other artists and just about how to make their shows more excellent, make their production process more seamless. And, so it's been an incredible ride. Since Coachella, we've done Black is King. I did Lion King with her. I did Kobe Bryant's funeral with her. So we've been able to do a lot of different things that have literally not only been a great paycheck, but it's been just a blessing in making me better in all these different ways, even being proud of, and I've always been proud of my Blackness, but just from Lion King to Black is King and being a part of such a great project like that. Even with Black is King, I was able to put the core group together of singers and all of that for that. So that was like, wow, So yeah, it's been a very, very, very fun ride. And Beyonce, one thing I tell people, I walked away from that. There's no way anybody could question why she's where she is. Hardest working person I think I have ever seen in my entire life, because we went through that process of Coachella for 8 weeks every day. There were times that, she literally was doing everything, looking at the editing, looking at this, looking at that, mission lighting. She's trying to perform, she's singing, okay, let's do camera, da da da. Okay, can you just like she literally has learned the industry. She's learned the art of it, not just the art of singing, but the art of entertainment. And there's a difference. There are some people that are just singers.
Yeah.
She's learned the art of entertainment, learned the art of industry. What does that really mean? So I think like her, not just being a businesswoman, but a musician and a creative, and I have learned a whole lot. So it's been, of course you can see, I love B. I love, I love that whole entire team and crew.
Come on, George. And I just attest to the excellence that's within you, because it could have been a one and done deal if she didn't like what you were doing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah,
like,
and for some it
was.
Somebody getting fired. Yeah, but that level of excellence, and even though it's a different level, it was all established in me by Bishop Morton. Bishop, that was one thing that he taught us, not only taught us, but he said it verbally every single time he got up, is that what we did at our church was done in the spirit of excellence. And that was what he required for us. I started working for Bishop Morton when I was only 18 years old. So that was etched into my brain. Between him and Pastor D, they were like second parents. They are like second parents to me. I lived with them. So literally, excellence was etched into my brain. Everything you do it with excellence. I don't care if it's big, if it's small. So that was etched into my brain. So I learned, and thank God that was etched into my brain, because now, because I learned to do excellence on a small scale, God has allowed me to do excellence on a big scale.
Yes. He was preparing you for greater and greater.
Literally. Literally. And you know that you probably don't know this. This is a fun fact. I made up the statement, greater is not who we are, it's what we do. I made that up. Mm-hmm.
You did?
I made that up. Yeah.
I love it. Wow.
I sure did.
being all innovative and stuff all the time.
Right. Yeah, I made that up. Yeah, I was probably like 24, 25 when I made it up. Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of making things up, you're also an author, and you've written two amazing books thus far. Yeah, God, which is a devotional, and Two Sides to Christmas, which are available to be purchased. Okay, I'm gonna put all of that on the screen. Y'all can go and purchase it right now today.
Yeah, go purchase it, please.
But you have another book coming out soon, so tell us about that.
Yeah, so okay, so the writing is interesting. When I was even still in New Orleans, I would come up with ideas, and Bishop Morton and Pastor D would allow me to do all kind of stuff. But to be honest, Angie, I didn't even know that was called being creative. I just in my mind would come up with an idea and be like, oh, hey, Pastor D, this is what I thought. They're like, oh, I love it, let's do it. But I didn't in my mind really know that I'm creative. God has given me stuff that I can make money off. I just didn't get that until I came out here. And I wrote a play in 2016 called Two Sides to Every Christmas Story. And it was about Jesus and Santa Claus meeting for the first time. And I called my big sister Tamar Braxton. I said, please, will you please be in it? I asked Eric and Tina to be in it. There was a guy, super dope actor that was on Tyler Perry's show at the time. And he was a lot of great people. And so what happened was that next year, I didn't want to do the play again. And so I had the idea, what if I turn the play into a book, a children's book? And that's how the book came along. And from there, that bug to write it bit me and kept biting. And before I knew it, I was writing musicals and more songs and plays and books and creating characters. And like, it just literally snowballed into so many different things. And I literally love writing. I love it because I get to create worlds. And one thing that people will see in a lot of what I do, they'll see that I always make different worlds collide. With Two Sides to Every Christmas, there is Jesus and Santa's world coming together. I have a project that I'm working on called Emancipation, and it's slaves and free people, their worlds collide. The new book that I'm working on called Good News Village, it's actually a short film. Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about it. I'm so excited about it. But there's a song that will be coming out soon. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. And it's gonna be co-executively produced by Warren Campbell, my pastor. We partnered on this project. And literally right now, we just started recording. Some of the best singers in gospel are part of it because it's animals. And so just to give you a little about the book and the film, it's called Good News Village. And basically it's a village where animals, for whatever reason, get lost in there. Every animal that has come there, they accidentally ended up in the Good News Village. The rules to Good News Village is that you can never bring bad news.
Wow.
And so, they and all of these different animals have things that they're lacking. The lion can't roar. The zebra stripes are fading. The owl can't see at nighttime, so the owl needs glasses. You got a big elephant, but he's so big. But when an ant bites him, he feels like somebody shot him. Like he can't handle the pain of an ant biting him. There's a kangaroo who's a female kangaroo, but she doesn't have a pouch. So there are a lot of things, if you get what I'm saying, that's kind of related to real life, that these animals feel inadequate. And even with all of us, we all have been through something or experienced something where we felt less than. And so in this Good News Village, they have to learn how to deal with what they feel like they're lacking. Wow. But they all teach each other that you're not lacking anything, and the way you're made is how you're supposed to be made. Wow. And so there's this day that they've heard about, but they were told that every so often there's this day called Gloomsday, where the sun is not shining in Good News Village, where it rains in Good News Village. And so this day is up on them, and they're trying to figure out, but I thought this was Good News Village. And they learn that good news isn't from outside. You have to learn to be able to bring good news from within yourself. And so to fast forward, this song that I wrote is called It Is Well. I take some of the hymn, It Is Well. But the animals, they sing this song. The lion says, what if you were a lion and you didn't know how to roar? And then the zebra says, what if you were a zebra but you didn't have stripes anymore? The puppy says, what if you were a puppy but you didn't know how to bark? And the owl says, what if you were an owl but you couldn't see in the dark? And then Everything you need is yours if you just believe. It is well with my soul. They start singing at the animal sing that. So the
Stir
song,
me up. You stir me up.
yeah. Well, let me tell you the song. So we started working on the song. So I'm gonna put out the song first with the animation so people can see that. And like I said, some of the dopest gospel artists are these different animals. And I wish I could say who they are, but very soon I'll be able to say who the gospel artists are. But yeah, so I'm super excited about that. So excited. And not only am I excited because Warren is my pastor, but because he's somebody who's so established in the industry, and to look over my project and believe in it. And, you know, there are a couple other things we're partnering on as well. I just appreciate that. And he's mentoring me, and pretty soon I may be starting a record label as well, like an indie label. And so just a lot of different things that I'm working on. So yeah, so that's what the book Good News Village is about. And I have another book called 2 Yardsticks Away, and it's basically, a yardstick is basically 3 feet. So these two little kids want to play with each other. And because coronavirus, they're like, we have to figure out how far 6 feet away, because we can only become, so they don't have anything to measure with. They need a big ruler, and what can we do? What can we use? So they try all of these different things, but nothing works. And finally, they go into a garage. One of the little kids goes into the garage, and they see something that looks like a really long ruler to them. So they're like, what is this? Take it to their parent. And the parent said, that's a yardstick. And so they get the idea, like, so how long is this? And say, it's only 3 feet long. It's like, dang, if I had 2, then I could measure how long me and my best friend could, sit apart. And goes back and finds another yardstick. And so they're able to play, so they know how far 6 feet is away. So that one is coming out before the summer as well. So.
Oh my goodness, George, you are busy.
I am. When I tell you I'm ripping and running, and to every creative out there watching this is something that I encourage you guys with. For me, there was a moment because I found myself doing things that nobody had done in my circle. So it was hard to stay encouraged because I had nobody to encourage me, because they had, I didn't know any. In my circle here, written a children's book, written a musical, or written songs. Like, sometimes I'm excited, and sometimes I'm like, maybe I need to give up because I've done, And I always found that when God gave me the next chapter or the next verse to the song, that was all the encouragement that I needed. And so for anybody out there who is struggling to create, and maybe you don't see the paycheck yet, because keep in mind, I didn't make a paycheck off of my book until it started selling. And I finished it. I didn't make a paycheck off of my play until I finished it, got characters, and then put it on and sold out. And so sometimes you won't see the return right away, but just know all the sign you need is the fact that God gave you the gift to be able to do it. And I've said that to you before. So yeah, so it's a fun process, and it keeps me busy. And sometimes you think it keeps you broke because you're not making money from doing it, but in the end that it's going to pay off and that it's going to be rewarding. And it has been so rewarding, creating and putting it out, not just financially rewarding, but the greatest part of it is somebody coming. Can you imagine somebody coming up to you, never met them before, and they say, oh my God, my child loves your book. My child reads your book. That literally sends chills through my body to the point where I was like, oh, thank you. And so when people do that, and even over the holidays, I put the Christmas book out in 2017. This last Christmas, 2020, has been my biggest selling year since 2017. And it's like, wow, again, like just over and over and over again. So it's always encouraging to see that your art has blessed somebody, has taught somebody something. And in the children, and let me say this, in the Christmas book, I use the true story of who St. Nicholas is with the true story of Jesus. And a lot of people don't know that St. Nicholas was a Christian bishop and all of that. So I put all of that into the story that's palatable for a child. But in the musical, like on stage, it's not just kiddie. It's big, and it's bigger than life. And so on stage, people would really love it. It's songs to it. I wrote songs for it. So hopefully, fingers crossed that this year it will be picked up by an amazing platform. I can't say that yet, but we're pitching that for it to be on a streaming site where it's filmed live for TV, but it will be on a streaming site for people to watch. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah.
George, look, I love this conversation. I thank you again for coming on. We're almost at the end, but I just wasn't expecting that this episode was specifically for me. So I just Thank you for just being transparent and being who you are. Like,
Thank you for having me, man. I enjoy talking. I think somebody asked me what above all things, what is my number one thing I love to do? I was like encourage. Number one is
yes,
probably to encourage people. Number two is to teach. I
yes,
love being able to train and get the information that I know and that I've received. I love to be able to give that to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And that
that's
makes
who
it
you are.
worthwhile.
You give you one thing I know about you, you do not hoard information
Yeah.
and you do not hoard opportunities. I've seen and heard people say that George has put me on this and this and this. But you
Yeah.
have to be a good character and you have to have the goods for
Yeah.
George to put you
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
George,
Yeah.
come on. You
Yeah, I believe in so many people. I really do. I think that we all have such amazing potential. And a lot of times people just need to be reminded of that. We all have made mistakes and done things that we're not proud of. And a lot of times that we allow that to overshadow where we could be. And people have a tendency, bad people have a tendency to always want to remind people of the bad in their life. So I made it a point. I want to remind people of the good. I want to remind people of that potential that you had a year ago. You still got that today. The thing that you did a year ago that was great, you could do that today. So what? You messed up the opportunity. Let me tell you something. I lost a house before. I didn't got a car repoed before. Okay. I learned a lesson from each one of those things. And the George now is the best George that there's ever been. This is the best version of me after foreclosure, after repossession. I can't imagine what I would have been before because there's certain lessons I didn't learn. I bought my first house when I was 22 years old. So there was some stuff I just didn't know. And, trying to keep up with this, trying to get, so I'm like, I'm glad to. I'll tell you this last thing, I'm gonna be quiet. There's, the saying, if I knew now, if I knew then what I know now. Have you ever heard somebody say that? If they knew, and I always say, if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't be who I am. If I knew then what I know now at 20, I wouldn't be who I am. All of that stuff developed character in me. It developed patience in me. It developed, it healed me from things. It delivered me from things. It encouraged me. It motivated me and inspired me. It brought me joy when I bounced back from those things. So I was able to discover so many positive things from the few little negative things that I've experienced in life. So keep going. Everybody out there, keep going. Do not let things stop you. Do not quit.
I love that. George, so I want you to take the last few minutes. I mean, you're such an encourager. Like that's the word that came to me when I thought about you. So that's only compliment.
Wow.
Like encourager. Take the last few moments to speak to those creatives out there who are so multifaceted like you,
Mm,
but they are not doing anything with that creativity. They're not stepping out. They're in fear. They're not like they're just not doing anything with it.
yeah, yeah.
What would you say to them?
So one thing, a couple of things I want to tell creatives out there. The first thing I would say to you guys is never stop creating. So many times we feel like we need a specific platform confirmed, or we need, I got to have the contract before I start creating. No, you create. You were not created for contracts. You were created to create. The contracts will come. The accolades will come. The Grammys will come. The Oscars will come. But none of it will come if you haven't already created. That's the first thing. A lot of times creatives get in depressed states when they stop creating. Keep creating. Keep writing, keep singing. I told somebody the other day, they were saying, well, I don't have access to musicians, but I wrote this song. I said, okay, let me hear it. Oh, well, I don't have it recorded. I said, you got an iPhone, you got a voice memo. You don't, that's how you create. Because just like I'm asking you, let me hear it. What if a record label want to hear it? You got it in your head. You know how many people go to the grave with ideas in their head? So that's the number one thing. You got to keep creating. Number two, do not be offended by people who don't support you. Be encouraged by the ones that do. A lot of times people ask me, how do you get over when certain people you expect to support you don't? I don't expect anybody to support me. You know why? Because I realize support is a personal thing. I can't make you give me your money. If you don't buy my book, that's your money. You can do what you want, what you want to do with your money. But I'm always blessed by those who choose to support me, whether it's family, friends, whatever. I'm grateful for that. So never be offended by people not supporting you. I tell people when they are mad at people not supporting them, Usually there's some growth that you need to do, because what that means is that you're holding people responsible for doing the work that you need to do within yourself. The fact that they're not supporting you shouldn't make you feel less than about your gift. So if you're making their support responsible for your self-esteem, then you need to go back to the drawing board and you need to do some work on you. You know, so number one, keep creating. Number two, don't be offended by those who don't support you. Number three, everything else will come. We look for so much. We look for all of these things, to the money, the $1 million, and this, and the followers, and the likes, and this and that. Create. All of the rest of that stuff will come. But if you create the best work that you can do, God will send you the people that you need to make it happen. God will send you the funds that you need to make it happen. God will even increase your faith that you need to make it happen. So the power in what you do isn't who you know. And that's what we get confused. If I know this person, then they can get me to this person. That's not the power. The power in what you do is the art that's created. Your superpower is in your art. Your superpower is in your creativity. Your superpower is in your uniqueness to be who you are and to make that come out in however you display your art. I don't think I'm the best and most talented person in the world, but guess what I am? I'm the best George that I can be. And so what God gives George to do, I can go do that. I can create a two sides and say, talk about the craziness of Jesus and Santa coming together. And in my mind, what that looks like, what that sounds like, how that feels. What would they sing? What would the elf be like? What would the elf be like when he sees a pregnant Mary and Mary's trying to explain she's never had sex? She's never, and he's like, okay, what? You know, and so that's something that George got, that God gave me to give out. What if I was going to try to be Tyler Perry and then do my grandma and then do a play about it? It wouldn't be the same, because that's not me. Just like if Tyler Perry tried to come and do it, he doesn't have what I have. So it's, you know, and those are two different levels. The last thing, this is something I want to really, really say. Success. Commercial success is not the only type of success there is. Getting a Grammy is not the only award that matters. There are so many other ways and things and signs of success other than the stuff that we see that's glamorized. And let's not get caught up in that, because there are many people who have Grammys and are still broke. There are many people with Oscars and are still depressed. There are many people with Tonys and they don't believe in their art and have not worked since they got the Tony. But there are people who have never received a Grammy in their life and they work every single day, are wealthy in peace, wealthy in money, wealthy in joy, wealthy in love. So let's not get caught up on commercial success. There's so much more to success than just what meets the eye.
George, I mean, you better drop bombs, gems, mics, all of it. Just drop it all. My God, thank you so much. Y'all, look, I want y'all to go and follow George right now. He's on Instagram at the Georgie Porgy. He's just amazing. Oh, and of course he's funny. This guy keeps me laughing. His stories in his page. He will inspire you, and then he'll make you laugh in the next moment. So y'all follow, support all of his endeavors. He's just amazing, an amazing soul.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you. And I'm gonna watch this interview over and over.
I might need to watch it too, encourage myself.
I'm so inspired.
Wow. Well, thank you. That's what I want. I appreciate that. And that inspires me. Like a lot of times I have to inspire myself, just like David in the Bible. He had to encourage himself a lot of times. And that's what we have to do when we have nobody else to encourage us. Always know that you have God right there. So sometimes you have to remind yourself, I'm not alone. God is with me. I'm not alone. God's with me. I'm not creating alone. God is with me. I'm not doing this alone. God is with me. I'm not singing alone. God is with me. You know.
Yes. My God. Well, thank you again, George.
I love you. Thank you for having me.
I love you too. I love you all. Thank you for watching. Look, he said it all. I just want y'all to go and be creative, birth those things, birth those visions, those dreams, those God-given dreams. Attain and reach your goals. Go for it.
Yes.
I don't have to say anything else. George said it all.
Yes.
I love y'all. Until the next week. Bye-bye.